Good morning, student. Today we are going to learn about transpiration. Which type of transpirations are there? Stomata, which is actively participate in transpiration, how it can move for the transpiration purpose. Which type of mechanism is found in transpiration, and starch sugar hypothesis, which is most important hypothesis or mechanism in case of transpiration, that also we are going to know about this. And then what is meant by transparents, what are the significance of them, we are going to learn. And lastly, the basic difference in between transpiration and guttation, we are going to know about each and everything one by one. So first of all, transpiration is nothing but a loss of water in the form of water vapor from the living tissue of aerial parts of the plant, such as leaves, stem, leaves, etc. And that is called as transpiration. Plants uptake abundant quantity of water from the soil through their root hairs. Some portion of the water is utilized in the metabolic activities of the plant, whereas rest of them are evaporated from the stem and the leaves, and that evaporated vapors are nothing but a byproduct of a transpiration. Transpiration takes place through stomata, lenticels or cuticles. Transpiration is a metabolic process which is regulated by the protoplasm and may be decreased or increased where needed by the nature. If it differs from vaporization, in fact that transpiration being a physiological process, while evaporation is a physical process. So the rate of transpiration is measured by the potometer, and that is a small instrument. Then there are three types of transpiration which are found in case of a plant on the basis of site of transpiration. First one, that is stomatal transpiration. It occurs through the stomata situated on the leaves and sometimes on the green stem. It is the most important one. Almost 90 to 97% of the total transpiration occur through the stomata. So stomatal transpiration is the most important one. Then lenticular transpiration, which is occurs through the lenticels, which are found on the stem surface. Stomata remain closed during night and the plant transpire through lenticels and cuticle at the night. Cuticular transpiration, which take place through the cuticle, that found on the surface of the stems and leaves. There are many more things which can affect the transpiration. First of all, that is light, which is coming from the sunlight, or it may be another light. So transpiration is directly affected by the light. How it is? The rate of transpiration is always greater in light than in darkness. So the light can affect indirectly on the transpiration. In the presence of light, stomata remain open and hence transpiration take place, where in night stomata are get closed and transpiration is get checked, means that transpiration get terminate or stop. Only lenticular and cuticular transpiration occurs during night. The efficient transpiration is induced by the blue light followed by the red light. Means what? Most of the transpiration is done with the help of blue light and later on the red light. In presence of green light or ultraviolet rays and infrared light, stomata never get opens. means the green light, UV rays and infrared light are responsible to close the stomata. Then there is one another affecting factor called as atmospheric temperature. The rate of transpiration is directly proportional to the atmospheric temperature, because when the temperature is high, transpiration from the leaf surface gets rapid, and that's why it is directly proportional to the atmospheric temperature. Then atmospheric moisture, dry and low humidity enhance the rate of transpiration, while the rate of transpiration get decreased in saturated atmosphere. Means if the higher amount of moisture is present in atmosphere at that time, transpiration get decreased one. So there is one another type, that is wind velocity. Winds is nothing but a flow of continuous air, and if that wind or air having a speed, that is the wind velocity. The rate of transpiration increase in wind condition. However, when the atmosphere is calm, transpiration rate get decreased because of moist air in the proximity of transpiring plants. So when there is a high velocity in a wind, at that time transpiration get increased. Then there is one another factor which can affect the transpiration, that is solar radiation. Solar radiation is deeply related to transpiration. Due to that solar radiation, the temperature of the leaves get increased, and thus the increasing the rate of transpiration. Then soil environment is the most important one. It directly affects the transpiration. If the absorption of water from soil is abundant, the transpiration occurs to a larger extent, and vice versa. So here is the diagrammatic representation of a transpiration. This is nothing but an soil, and these are blue color water molecules that get enter into the stem, and these are the leaves which can expel out water vapors after transpiration. So within that, first step is that water which can get absorbed by the roots. So these roots can absorb water, then water levels travel up to the plant through the stem. And third one, that is these are green leaves which can expel out water vapor lost from the leaf pores as a resultant transpiration. Then there are many more internal factors which can affect on transpiration, that is the root system. If the roots are deeply penetrated to the soil in moist layer, there is abundant absorption of water, and at that same time transpiration get increased. However, if the roots are limited to the upper layers of the soil, there is less absorption of water and less transpiration rates are shown within such condition. Stem, the rate of transpiration is depend on the diameter of xylem vessels present in the stem. If the xylem vessels are having wider perforations or wider openings, at that time there is an increase in a transpiration rate. Sometimes leaf structure which shows several adaptation in plant are present in order to check transpiration. That is the most important thing. The leaf are always modified in such condition to avoid, to check, to stop, to terminate the transpiration. And in this case, the xerophytes, the area of leaves is get decreased or becomes modified into a spine-like structure, and that's why there is a low transpiration rates are found in xerophytes. Sometimes the leaves are completely absent and the stem are get flat, angular or rounded. These are called phylloclades, for example in Opuntia. Transpiration is less from the surface of phylloclades. The leaves of some plants bear special depressions where stomata are situated and are surrounded by hairs. This such type of a modification is helping to lower down the transpiration rate. In case of such condition is found in Nerium. Then transpiration is also important physiological process in case of a plant life, and that's why they show some significant role as a transpiration help in the movement of xylem sap. It increase the absorption of mineral nutrients by the roots from the soil, and that is the most significant thing in case of a plants. It causes cooling effect on plant and plant surface. So due to the transpiration, the complete plant body get cooled down. It produce suction pressure for the absorption. When the transpiration is start, at that time water vapor can expel out, and at that time there is a creation of a suction pressure, and due to that ascent of sap, mineral translocation and distribution of mineral take place. So that is the most important. Transpiration decrease heating of leaves by solar radiation. So that is again most important thing. It maintains turgidity as well as aids in hydrological cycle. So when the water vapors or when there is a transpiration is occur, at that time they can maintain turgidity, which is a water amount, or the cells get turgid or become swell. At that time there is a most basic thing is going on, that is a hydrological cycle keep going on, and that can help the maintain turgidity or transfer the turgor pressure into adjacent cell, and that is the most important, which creates suction pressure for the absorption. As like a significant role of a transpiration, there are some disadvantages of transpiration. That is one, that the energy which is used during absorption is get wasted. Then unwanted loss of water is also carried out due to the transpiration. Sometimes excess transpiration causes wilting, that is harmful for plants. It increases acidity, alkalinity or aridity of a soil, because due to the transpiration soil becomes dry, and if there is a presence of acid and alkalis, then that soil becomes get altered into a acid soil or alkaline soil. There are most important thing, that is when stomata gets open, when stomata get closed, in between both situation there is some mechanism which is helpful for the transpiration, and that is nothing but that is depend on a structure of a stomata. So first of all we are going to know about structure of a stomata. Stomata is nothing but an stoma, which is a singular word, and stomata is a plural one. Stomata are microscopic aperture commonly found in epidermis of leaves, green fruits, herbaceous stems. Stomata are never present on roots. It is biconvex, elliptical in structure. It also look like two kidney shaped special epidermal cells termed as a guard cell, which surround each stomata. The guard cells are filled with thin layer of cytoplasm and central large vacuole. The cell wall of a guard cell surrounding the stomatal pore is thicker and inelastic because of formation of a secondary layer of cellulose, which raise cells which rest the cell wall in thin and elastic condition. So that's why the guard cells are most important in case of a stomata. The epidermal cells that surround the guard cell of the stoma are termed as a accessory or subsidiary cells. The guard cells are always living in condition and consist of small chloroplasts like other epidermal cells. In case of a dicotyledonous leaves, the stomata are found scattered, whereas in case of a monocotyledon leaf, the stomata are arranged in parallel rows. That is the basic difference in between dicots and monocots. Stomata may be found on both the surface of the leaf, but their number is always greater on the lower surface. Stomata having a special shape, size and number, it depends on the species. The shape of guard cell in case of a dicot is reniform or kidney shaped, whereas in case of a monocot it is a dumbbell shaped. The size of stomata varies from species to species and measure 3 to 12 micron in length. The number of stomata can vary from thousands to lakh per square centimeter on the surface of the leaf. So this is all about shape, size and number of a stomata. Then there is the main theme, that is mechanism of opening and closing of stomata. In normal conditions, stomata remain closed in the absence of light, but in the daytime or in the presence of light, stomata are always in open condition. Under each stoma, a respiratory cavity is present. The mechanism of the closing and opening of the stomata relies upon the presence of sugar and starch, which is found in the guard cell, which can trigger the actual mechanism of a stomata. So here is the diagram which can show how the stomata are get open and closed. So first diagram which can shows guard cell change size of a stomata and to control transpiration. So the left side diagram showing a higher or deep stoma, which is stomatal opening condition, that is done with the help of guard cell. There is a higher amount of water and higher sunlight, and that's why the guard cell get triggered into a open the stoma, and for that purpose there is a potassium enters into the vacuoles and water follows by osmosis or osmotic pressure, which get increased and turgidity separate the cells, and in this way there is a opening of a stomata. Likewise, when the potassium ions exit vacuoles, means they are come outside the vacuole, and at that time water follows by the osmosis and stomata get closed due to the guard cells, and at that time they lose their turgidity, and that's why at the central portion there is a no opening, and that is called as a closing of stomata. Then photosynthetic guard cells, according to the von Mohl and Swenderen, the sugar is produced by the chloroplast of the guard cell through photosynthesis. So everyone knows, with the help of photosynthesis, chloroplast develop sugar molecules. These sugars are soluble and hence increase the concentration of a sap of a guard cell. Sugars are water soluble, and that's why the guard cell get increased, get higher concentration of a sap, and at that time the stomata get opens. The increase of osmotic pressure of a guard cell leads to the endoosmosis of a water from neighboring cell into the guard cell, and they become turgid, and due to the turgidity the resulting condition is nothing but an opening of a stomata. So starch sugar enter conversion is the most important mechanism in case of transpiration. This hypothesis states that the opening and closing of stomata is controlled by the phosphorylase enzymes. During daytime, starch convert into a glucose called as a sugar, and by the activity of a phosphorylase enzyme that can be done. The increased concentration of a sugar in the guard cell causes endoosmosis from neighboring cells. Hence, the guard cell becomes turgid and stomata gets open. The sugar present in a guard cell that can convert the starch in the absence of light during night, and the starch is insoluble, and hence the cell sap of the guard cell remains of much lower concentration in comparison to the neighboring cell, and that is resulting into the closed state of a stoma. Sometimes exosmosis from the guard cell take place by the making them flaccid, and the stomata are remain closed. The starch sugar interconversion depends upon the acidity, pH and alkalinity of a cell sap of a guard cell, and during night photosynthesis is also absent or not in a developing condition, and thus the carbon dioxide couldn't get accumulated in the guard cell, and this convert the cell sap into the weak acidic starch. The carbon dioxide is utilized in the process of a photosynthesis during the daytime, and the cell sap becomes alkaline and the starch converts into a sugar. So in this way starch sugar interconversion is a most important thing in case of a stomatal opening and closing. When there is a higher concentration of a CO2, at that time the opening and closing of a stomata is depend on their higher concentration or lower concentration. That hypothesis was proposed by the Bonner and Galstone. He realized that concentration of a carbon dioxide present in the stomatal chamber, it is dependent of the pressure and presence and absence of a light. Normally 0.3% of a carbon dioxide is present in the atmosphere, but when the density of a CO2 or carbon dioxide in the substomatal chamber also becomes 0.03%, then the guard cell become flaccid and the stomata become closed. As the density of a CO2 decreases gradually, the stomata start to open, and it opens gradually lengthwise until the density of a CO2 becomes 0.01. Then now the stomata are completely open, and then they are not open further beyond this density. So the photosynthesis occur in a daytime, and much of the carbon dioxide is being utilized in the process. The density become lesser than 0.03%, and the stomata stay open during the daytime. During night or in the darkness, photosynthesis is totally absent, and the density of a carbon dioxide remain 0.03%. The guard cell remain flaccid and the stomata remains as it is closed one. So as shown in above diagram, the potassium ion which are actively participate in this opening and closing method of a stomata. What happened in this case? This theory is also termed as a hormonal regulation theory or mallet switch theory or potassium maltate theory. This theory was proposed by Leavitt in 1974. The role of potassium in a stomatal opening is now most accepted worldwide. In 1967, Fujinam for the first time observed opening of a stomata which take place due to the influx of a potassium ion concentration. The osmotic concentration of a guard cell is increased by the influx of a potassium ions and causes stomatal opening. The uptake of a potassium ion controls the gradient in the water potential. This in turn trigger endoosmosis. Endoosmosis into the guard cell get increased and the turgor pressure also get increased. At that time, ATP aids in entry of a potassium ion into the guard cell. And furthermore, Leavitt in 1974 observed that proton H positive ion uptake by the guard cell chloroplast, and due to that they help to produce ATP. In this leads to rise the pH in a guard cell, and if the pH get increased, that can convert starch into organic acid such as malic acid. Malic acid again dissociate to form H positive ion and maltate anion. The absorption of potassium ions is balanced by the following, that is uptake of a calcium electron, transport of a H positive ions from organic acid such as malic acid, and by negative charge of organic acid when they lose H positive ion, then the accumulation of a large concentration of a potassium ion in a guard cell is iconically balanced by the uptake of a negatively charged ions, and that is chloride and maltate. Hydrolysis of a starch causes accumulation of a high amount of maltate in guard cells of open stomata. A passive or highly catalyzed excretion of a potassium positive ion and chlorine from the guard cell to the epidermal tissue result in stomatal closure in general and subsidiary cells in a particular manner. It is considered that subsidiary cells have an active reabsorption mechanism which is due to the potassium ion. Then come towards the anti-transparent as like a transpiration, which is a natural process in case of a plant life. But if the water is going reduce in a field condition, at that time there is use of anti-transparents. These anti-transparents are substances which are applied to the plants for the purpose of a reduction in a transpiration or to avoid a water loss without causing a significant effect on other plant process such as photosynthesis and growth. And that's why they have been used with some success in horticulture, especially in ornamental industry. So anti-transparent are totally different or unnatural process which can be done with the help of artificial substance or some synthetic substance. So first of all, anti-transparent may reduce transpiration in three different ways. First of all, by the reducing the absorption of a solar energy, means the plants couldn't absorb solar energy, and that's why they become reduce leaf temperature and transpiration rate gets lower down. Then by the forming thin transparent film which hinder the escape of water vapors from the leaves. So these films are helpful to avoid the water loss. Then third one, by promoting closure of a stomata, means stomata, if there is a daytime or night time, they becomes closed one. So such anti-transparent are also found, and they can close the stomatal opening, and by that effect the guard cell around the stomatal pore can participate in the decreasing of a loss of water from the leaf surface. So that is the most important thing, which is totally different from transpiration. There are three different types of anti-transparent. Stomatal closing type, that is they induce stomatal closing or decrease the size and number of a stomata, which subsequently reduce the photosynthesis. For example, when phenylmercuric acetate is sprayed at a very low concentration, it results in a partial closure of a stomata for 2 weeks. Then one another, that is film forming type. Plastic and waxy material which form a thin colorless film over the leaf surface and result in a physical barrier for the transpiration. These glossy films then reduce the water loss on plant, while at the same time it allows them to breathe normally. Colorless plastic, silicone oils and low viscosity waxes are some example of a film forming types. Then reflecting types, anti-transparent. These are the most commonly clad based and increase the reflection of a light from leaf surface, thus reduction done in case of a leaf heating, and that's why they avoid a water loss. Then growth retardant. These chemicals reduce the shoot growth and increase the root growth and thus enable the plant to resist drought. They may also reduce stomatal closure. So in this way there are 4 main different anti-transparent which are working on a plant transpiration. As like a transpiration, there is a one another mechanism is found in a plant life, that is called as a guttation. What happen in case of a guttation? The plant takes in water and use photosynthesis to grow. While this is true, plant also have secret life where their survival depends on the balance of water and nutrients. One way that plants can balance the amount of water they take in size, and by that process is called as a guttation. How the guttation is work? Guttation, when water is secreted from the tip of the leaves of a plant, guttation happen. In certain plants that have vascular system such as grasses, wheat, barley, tomatoes, strawberries and other small plants. Since guttation relies on pressure, it can't occur in large plants such as trees because pressure required to force the water out to large amount. Guttation happens at night when the soil is very moist and the root absorb water. If there is too much water, root pressure causes the water to squeeze out of the plant and onto the tips of the leaves or blades of the plant. As water from soil passes through the guttation process, it keeps up mineral, enzymes and other chemicals in plant which are participation of a hydro water cycle, and that is done with the help of xylem sap. So Guttation is completely different from the transpiration. Since the water is vital for the plants, many of the fancy words relating to the plants have to do with water. But the guttation and transpiration are two such words which fortunately there are some major difference that can help you differentiate between the two. Guttation happens when the stomata are closed and transpiration that happen when the stomata are open. Therefore, guttation happens at night or in the rarely morning. It is cold and humid condition, but the transpiration on other hand happens during the daytime and usually there is a dry heat. So the transpiration, in that condition water is pushed out in the form of water vapor in case of a transpiration, while in case of a guttation it's secreted as a water or a xylem sap. So this is all about a transpiration mechanism. Three different types of a transpiration appendages, and in this way we know about a transpiration, and the vice versa. Rather than this transpiration there is a one another metabolic process called as a guttation, and that is also a most important thing in case of a plant life to balance the water amount within a plant body. So in this way we have completed the transpiration, and I hope you can understand each and every bit. In next lecture we are going to know about a active and passive absorption of a water.